So at scale, that doesn't really work so well. It's great when people show initiative. It's great when smart people take things on and say, I know we need that data and we need those analytics and I'm just going to do it. But when you get to a certain size, in the case, I was at internal IT at Amazon, where we had about 120 managers and about 1,000 tech support engineers. When everybody starts doing their own thing, you start to have all kinds of issues. So Amazon internal IT, at the time I started, early 2017, over 400 buildings and sites, 250,000 supported employees, 350,000 laptops. Trouble ticketing, of course, is the big thing in any help desk, and Amazon ran its own internal help desk, still does. At the time, 1.5 million trouble tickets per year, mostly supporting hardware and software upgrades. I need a new laptop, I need a new keyboard, managing vending machines for IT. I need a new mouse. I just walked down the end of the hallway, swipe my badge, and I get a new mouse. So all of this stuff needs to be maintained. And like I said, about 1,000 engineers that were responsible for that. What happened is that to measure performance for all of these engineers, you need a lot of data from the ticketing system. Lots of time was invested by both engineers and managers to try to use the corporate data extraction systems to get data out of these massive systems, building reports in Excel. And of course, you can say, what could possibly go wrong? Well, when people do freeform querying and maybe they're good at SQL but not great at SQL, you don't know what the result will be. Are they writing good queries? Are they using the correct fields? Are they grouping and summing on the correct measures? You can run into a lot of issues there. We had hundreds of people writing their own queries. We had no real-time analytics. There were no standardized calculations for the different KPIs. And issues we ran into, you'd go into a one-on-one with a manager and his engineer, and the manager said, well, you only did 35 tickets this week. He said, no, I did 40. I was supposed to do 40 and I did 40. And you find out that the manager is running the report on resolution date, but the engineer was using it on modified date or create date. And again, at scale with 100 managers and 1,000 engineers, you end up with, literally dozens, if not hundreds of different queries. So you get into a mess of inconsistency in the data. And these performance metrics really do matter in many companies for, reviews and promotion tracks, and, trying to make sure that all of that aligns is very important. So our approach, because it was really a greenfield, when we started, there were really a handful, maybe 20 people using the few Tableau dashboards that were up there. So we needed to get everybody aligned first. What are the KPIs that really matter? What are the pain points? How much time are you losing trying to build your own metrics, trying to figure out why your metrics don't match with your managers? And then standardize and automate these queries globally so that there's a single source of truth. I know people hear that all the time in these, BI and analytics and Tableau conference discussions, but it really is an important thing. You get to scale and a single source of truth becomes absolutely paramount. In the beginning, we decided we would build basic dashboards to mimic Excel because everybody was just downloading data from some Redshift cluster or SQL Server or something, and everybody was doing Excel, and they kind of liked the way that looked. So we tried to mimic that a little bit, with a few visual things, thrown in, because it's really important not to, throw a whole new system at people right away. You'll get pushback. You'll have hesitancy with adoption. So if you can mimic what they have and take the work away from them, generally they're going to be happy. You say, oh, okay, I don't have to do the work anymore, but I get exactly what I used to get before. So you find a lot of times in this early phase of introducing analytics and trying to gain adoption, that if you recreate first what they have and take that work away from them, people are going to generally be very receptive to it. We try to implement some good security. Managers, of course, they can see their team. Engineer can only see his own data. One of the things that we were finding out was that when people can write their own queries against the data warehouse, they can start saying, well, yeah, I'm going to go look and see what this guy did for tickets, and I'm going to go see what that guy did. And that's not really what you want people wasting their time doing. You know, the engineers had a job, and you don't want them to be writing extra queries trying to figure out other things. So we removed the data warehouse query permissions from everybody except the BI team. We built these manager and engineer versions using row level security, freed people up to do their actual jobs, and then started to track usage by dashboard, by view, by region, by manager, by engineer, to get a sense of what was working. You know, which dashboards were giving us the best return on investment. You know, if you have 1,000 users and they were spending a half an hour a week before to generate their analytics, that's 500 man hours saved every week. And when you start to add that up, you know, that's one head per month that you're saving basically. And that makes a huge difference when you're trying to support, you know, at the time, 500,000. Now Amazon IT supports over 1 million, I think 1.2 million IT users. So those people need to be really freed up to use all their time to do that support work. So just a few images here of what we started to build early. You can see down here in the center, you do some really simple kind of grid and text work with simple, you know, bar charts, and not too much in the way of filtering, not too much in the way of visual, but just giving people what they were already building in Excel, put it into a centralized place, some very basic heat maps up here, color coding, make it really easy for them to see, did you hit your number this week or not? Some real simple trend analysis for the managers and for like the director level to build something even a little bit fancier to say, okay, you know, we can say this is the way we're measuring messaging. You know, in our new software at the time was Chime, you know, how Link was starting to fade, how Polycom was fading, and so on, and give the higher level managers a really quick view. You know, I used to always say to them, I don't want you using Tableau all day. I don't want you looking at dashboards all day. I want you to go in, look at the dashboard that gives you whatever the 5 most important bits of information that you need for that day to make a decision. And then get out and go do the rest of, you know, of the work that you normally would do. So trying to give each level of person, you know, real good detail for ticket analysis for the engineers, you know, really basic stuff for mid-level managers for trending to get a good sense, and then, you know, this really high-level stuff for the upper-level managers, something that they can paste into an MBR, a business review, or, you know, weekly meetings, monthly meetings, so they can do that. And once you start to get that adoption and people start getting used to it, starting adding more filters and more clicking, you start to get into more of the higher level functions in Tableau, you know, visualizations in a tooltip or sheet swapping, and some of the quote unquote fancier things that you can do. You know, once you have this adoption, once you get these people to start thinking, yeah, I can really rely on the data, I can rely on the dashboard, the availability is high, it's responsive, it's fast, it's visual, I can use screenshots in other reports that I'm doing for meetings. Then you can start to, you know, work with some of your high level users, your really active users, to try to take it up another notch. And when we start to get into more complexity, then getting to some really dense kind of heat maps. So like the one here on the top left was video conference usage by hour of day in 15-minute intervals. And it's really important also just for load balancing, for hardware, to see where things are being used the most. And it was really fascinating to see that, like the far right is Asia Pacific, and they were pretty much in the same time zone as Europe. That the people in APAC were working different hours to align more with EMEA to be in these calls. So you would normally think that meeting usage might follow the sun, but in a very large global corporation, you find out that there's a lot more overlap in the time zones than you might otherwise expect. And then in the bottom right, just a little bit, like these small multiples where you're giving people an awful lot of information on the screen at a very high level. Again, more for upper management to get that 30,000 foot view of how things are going, and if there are any outliers. And a lot of these dashboards were then built with extensive tooltips, with visualizations in the tooltips, very little text on there, just so that you can get more information on the screen, and then let people drill down either via the tooltips or via clicking and moving through there. So, and to kind of lead into, I think, what Christian's going to be talking about right after me, how it worked for us is that, we used the internal Tableau metrics system to develop our own dashboards to track adoption. It was really important to say, look, it matters that everybody in the world is using this. And if you have all the managers in Europe and all the managers in the US using these new dashboards, we want to make sure that the managers in India and Japan and Australia are using them as well, because you're really only going to have consistent measurement of how people are working, what their achievement rates are, and all that. If everybody's using the same metrics, you don't want to see some people still trying to do manual things or trying to calculate things differently, if at all possible. We want everybody to buy in. So when you look here and you're able to see by who's using the dashboards, what role, what geography, which views they're looking at, and all of this was also clickable and could be drilled down to get into the different views. And then you can start to go back and have those discussions with the managers and say, hey, look, we see that your region or your building or your subgroup just isn't using these, and we want to understand why. Is there something that doesn't work for you guys quite the same way? And then you can kind of reiterate on your requirements and on your calculations to make sure that you're really satisfying the needs of everybody. There's no way to go from 0 to 100 overnight and just say, like, we're implementing an analytics system and you're all going to love it. You have to take some small steps, give them something they can use right off the bat that satisfies the need, and then as they get more comfortable with the platform, to keep driving innovation. And what we would do is we would often send emails out up here, what users access the most views, to go to these folks and say, hey, look, you're our top 10 biggest users. We're going to consider you a special group of advocates, and we're going to start to work with you on the dashboards because you're using them so much. Why are you using them so much? What does it give you? How are you using them? And start to talk to these people and get more information, and then build those ideas that you're getting, because your users are going to have great ideas. You have 1,000 users, you're going to get a lot of really good ideas. And again, it's just this flywheel mentality of continuous improvement in saying, okay, every bit of information that we have to make our dashboards better, we want that feedback to flow back in to requirements, to data engineering, and continue to build up the dashboards to where we start to see a really consistent usage across all regions, all buildings, all managers and groups. And then that your organization is really performing well and performing consistently. We went from 20 users and 700 monthly views to 900 users and 10,000 monthly views within a year. And again, just using all these different tools and methods of baby steps and good tracking and advocacy, and having these relationships, constantly building relationships with people. In fact, we even did a roadshow where we went to different cities in different countries, and we'd say, okay, we're going to be in EMEA this week for 3 days. We're going to be in London. Let's get everybody together that we can and get feedback and maybe do a hackathon and work on some stuff. And again, when you've built those relationships and you've built that trust, you can continue to drive adoption, because what we found is so many of our users were so smart and so ready to do everything on their own, that if we could redirect that energy to helping us build better dashboards for everybody, then everybody wins. So that's basically what I had. And like I said, I think it will tie in now to what Christian is going to present. So a little early, but I'm going to pass it over to Christian. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. And let me share my screen. And also, thank you everybody for attending today. This session is about see and understand our users, because I want to guide you through the option that Tableau is providing more from a technical point of view. And I think, Tony already was covering a lot. But usually what we're doing as data analysts, as Tableau consultants, we tell others, our colleagues or our employees that or our clients that they should use data, because then they can get better, then they can improve. But how about us? How about ourselves? Do we measure the success of our work? And I consider, for me, example, when I'm building a dashboard, or when we're building a dashboard and deploy it, if it's being heavy used, for me, that's kind of success, because we did something right. But it's also the other way around. If it's not being used, then maybe we didn't hit the spot, and maybe we have to ask questions about it and improve our work, or improve the questions that we were asking and that we were displaying. Maybe just a few words about me. Christian Adniani is my name. I'm owner of Use Data to Lead. I'm Tableau consultant. The things that I like most are doing visual analytics in combination with a user interface and user experience design. For me, these two fields very much related to each other. And also when it comes to user experience design, it's also very much about engagement, whether people feel comfortable to use our digital solution, or if they don't. And that's part of whether we are successful with what we're doing. And another thing is, my background is more coming from software development. This is what I was doing a long time. And I realized that there's a huge difference. I turned towards data analytics and Tableau some years ago. But before that, I was mainly doing CRM systems, ERP systems, all of that stuff. And it was never a question whether people are going to use it or not, because people have to use it. It's the same like time recording. Most of us, I guess, do not like time recording. I do not like time recording, but I do it every day. So it's not about engagement. It's not about a question whether I'm doing it or not. I just have to do it. But when it comes to analytics, you're not forced to use it like using other tools within your company. So this is the challenging but also exciting thing at the same time. Just let me check one thing, because I also had, when it comes to engagement, there is one story that I like to share is when I was dealing with individual software. There was also sometimes challenges with engaging user, because one time I had a guy sitting in front of me, and he was telling me, because I was supposed to introduce a new system, and the guy was telling me, okay, I'm going to retire in 6 months, so I won't listen. I don't care, that's just be aware of that. And this also might happen, but usually what we're doing, people are interested, and it's up to us that we're doing the right things, presenting the right things, and that's the most important part. Just another thing about me, I'm commuting between the city of Vienna, and also I'm also located in Werthof an der Ybbs, where our main branches of our company. And I enjoy it very much because it's in the nature. I'm living next to a small river, and I enjoy to watch the ducks and gooses every day. So this is something that I really enjoy, especially after having a hard day. So much about me. So let me tell you the topics that I'm going to share today. It's there are some things that Tableau is providing, ready-made things that Tableau is providing that Tony already was mentioning, like to your own dashboards to visualize the usage, the utilization of the dashboards. And I'm going to show you the views count. I think everybody has already experienced with that. Site status, I think many of you will be experienced with that. And then there are way more insights. And I'm going to show you the difference between Tableau Online and Tableau Server, because these are two different approaches. Maybe just to make sure, Tableau Server is the thing that you install on premise. Tableau Online is the one where it's just getting user accounts, the links, and it's fully hosted by Tableau. So let me start with the very basic one, the view count. So this is a Tableau Online site that we're having here. It's a demo site, so there is not a lot of data in it, but you can see, and everybody, I guess, already noticed this, that you can see the views. That means how often the different folders or projects has been accessed. And if we're looking, and if there are subfolders within or sub-project within this, you can't see the views anymore. If you drill down, like going here to Better Analytics, you see folders, you don't get any more information. If you drill down again, you can see the workbook, you don't see any count of views. But if you drill down another time, as soon as Tableau is providing, or as we see views, and views would relate to either a worksheet or a dashboard, then we can see the all-time views that we were having here. And one thing that's good to know, because that's like kind of a quick win. If you want to know who was viewing this view, then there is a context menu where you can just click on it, who has seen this view, and you get all distinct users that were watching it. User experience is kind of bad, but you get what you want. So you can see that Christoph Doro and the office account was looking at it, and you can also see when it was last viewed. So this is just, like quick win that you should be aware of, that you can do it like this. But there are other options. Next thing would be the site status. And site status is just available if you're, I'm not sure, I think site admin, either explorer or creator, but as a viewer you won't see this, but as most of us, who want to see how Tableau is being used, hopefully everybody will have access to the site status. What you see here are some more deeper insights, and let's just pick the first one because there is a list of it, but there is way more behind it when you click on the tabs. These days, this part is pretty slow. Usually it's faster. I assume that it's maybe related to already that Tableau Online, the new version, is being updated. Maybe they're already preparing some stuff. But what I wanted to show to you is here we have 3 tabs. Let's pick the first one, where you can see the actions by all users. And again, it takes a while. And here you have different options where you can see when it comes to events. That's how Tableau is counting everything in the background. It's also, publishing would be an event, downloading something is an event, access is an event, and so on. And you can pick the action. So if you just want to see the access view, and let's maybe focus today on this one, then you will just get this one chart, and you can see how many interactivity happened when, you have a timeline, and you can choose a time range. But you have to be aware here at the site status, data is always limited to the last 30 days. So if you want to get more insights, you don't have a chance here. And maybe also you notice that there is no way to edit this dashboard or this worksheets. And also it's not possible to download these workbooks. So this is a basic thing that's provided by Tableau Online and Tableau Server. You will always have it, but just always be aware that it's limited to a short time range, last 30 days, and you're not able to do something with it. I do not want to dive too deep into every single dashboard that we're seeing here, because that would take too much time. One thing, just as a hint, something that I am doing frequently, especially as sometimes we need to update Tableau Server or restart services maybe, then I like to use here, because there it's just a login and 2 clicks, and then here you have your dashboard actions by recent users. And what you're seeing here, how many users are currently active. So this is where you can look whether you can restart or reboot Tableau Server instance, for example. It's not about when it comes to Tableau Online, but when it comes to Tableau Server, of course. So that's something very useful that I like a lot. But like I was saying, you cannot modify anything. So it's very basic what we can see here. Okay, so much for this. So we can see the views, and we can see the site status. But there are more things. And now we have to split because there are different approaches when it comes to Tableau Online and Tableau Server. When it comes to Tableau Online, you always have this admin insights, this project folder. You won't have it when you're having a trial version. So just be aware of this. But when you have regular standard Tableau Online site, you have this admin insights. And here we're getting some more information. And there is even a starter workbook for easier starting everything. So let's have a look at it. And let's open it. I think this is faster. And most important thing that we're having here is, on the one hand, you can see we're able to edit it. So we can modify it and adopt it for our usage. So that's one thing that's cool. The other thing is that it's not limited to 30 days. So we get the full data. That's also something that's important. And there is way more than just the usage, you know, like the access events, how Tableau is calling it. It's also about assigned seats, disk usage, and so on. But again, today, as we have limited time, let's just focus on what users are actually looking at. And here, I think there is kind of a bug. I just have to click something here. Here we can see access to the views. Well, let's stick to that. Here is also access about data sources. That's not so important. But here we already get a better picture, you know, because here we can see over time what's going on. Here we can also see, you know, like a calendar, when things are being used, what are the top views, top viewers, and many things that we can do here. That's maybe the most important thing. Here we can also look at the login activity, but let's stick to the views. So this is already giving us some more insights what's going on. And here we can just pick, let's just use one project. Project name is referring to top level hierarchy of our Explore page that we're having. And then we can see who was using it, how often, which time, and so on. So this is something that we can do. But maybe you still don't like what you see here. So you get the idea what you can do with it, but you want to do it by yourself. Then the way to go would be just opening Tableau Desktop, connecting to data. That would be, in this case, that's our Tableau Online site. And here you see you have the different data sources provided. like Tableau Server events, users, site content, and so on. And maybe let's stick to the events. So if I'm connecting here, then what I get is a data source where we have all of the events and all of the things that are going on. Maybe just also to let you know, there is always a distinction between, for example, here item name and here historical item name. Historical item name is, I'd say, more important, because if you rename something or if you delete something, then it would be shown as null, the item like dashboard. So I would stick to this one. And here you can do one thing that's also kind of pretty smart. Maybe make sure that you're picking your right time zone. You have this, let me go back to the starter workbook. Here you can select the time zone, because in general, SQL databases are storing timestamps in UTC. And then you always have to say, what's your time zone? And that's something that Tableau was doing here pretty smart. That's just a off-topic sidestep, but let me show it to you, because you can pick here the text value, like for example, European Central Time. And then what it's doing, it's just with the data, it's there, the dated function, it's adding or subtracting these hours that are behind this parameter. So let's set it to Rabbi, Central European time. I think it was always at the beginning anyway. For whatever reason, I can't find it now. Let's use Eastern European time. That's fine. So what we can do now, using this one here, like creating a timeline, but as I was saying, that's just a demo site, so we don't have too much data for that. And if we're using this and just adding, I don't know, let's say a number of events like here, and maybe here is not the best way to go. So let's do it like monthly or something like this. Then we can see, you know, the usage, and we can also see which events we want to see. I cannot cover every attribute, every dimension that we're having here, but just that you get the idea. So if it's just about access views, then we can see how it's ongoing. We can switch this to daily base, and you know, whatever you can do with Tableau, but you can play around by yourself. You can build worksheets, you can build dashboards, publish them, look at them just as you need it. So that's one thing. There are also other data sources. If I'm just connecting again to a Tableau server, one thing that I also was noticing when I was connecting here, maybe you've already seen this description part at data sources, and whatever you write there, maybe let me show it here for better understanding. So if we're just going out, and here are our data sources. And if I click on Tableau Server uses, you can see that you here are able to write some more information about it. And everything that you're writing here in this about will show up when you're connecting to the data source. And I think that's a very good idea, very nice for your other colleagues or whoever is also working with Tableau Server, because this way it's very easy to understand and explaining what you're connecting to, and you don't have to figure out. So be nice to your colleagues and write description. So you can also connect to the other data sources and figure out what you can do with it. So I have to watch the time. So much about admin insights. Okay. Then let me show you one more thing, because when it comes to Tableau Server, the thing that you're installing on premise, it's pretty much the same like Tableau Online, but there are differences, and there are always pros and cons when it comes to this. When it comes to Tableau Online, it's, you know, there is more comfort, it's more comfortable because you already you have ready-made data sources for it. But when it comes to Tableau Server, you don't. So like if you're starting to deal with a Tableau Server, you can see on the one hand, yes, we can see the views. Yes, we have server status down there and can see all of these site status dashboards, but we do not have admin insights and we won't get it. But on the other hand, what we can do, and this is something that you need to do with the command line. Maybe let me show like this. I've just do, because this is what I was already showing to you. But when it comes to Tableau Server, like I was saying, there are no admin insights, but you can enable the access to the repository. And the only thing that you need to do is either copy and paste or type it via command line to here, you know, like because here we have Tableau Services Manager that you can deal with the graphical user interface, but also like here. Here, let me just write a very basic statement like give me the status of our server. Then you get either running, stopped, or degraded. In this case, it's running. So if you enable repository access, the only thing that you have to do is write your password here. Choose any password. Just make sure you remember it. And after hitting, after confirming here by command line, then Tableau Server is being restarted, and then you're ready to connect to the repository. And as I was already doing this, there's also just a demo instance that I was launching 2 days ago, so there's not a lot of data. But let me show you how you can connect to Tableau repository. It's finally the same what we're seeing at Tableau Online, but not ready-made, not comfortable like that. But on the other hand, there is way more flexibility. So you have to connect to Postgres. This is the database that Tableau Server is using. And just make sure that you access via localhost. I think it won't work from outside. I'm not sure. Using the right port, you have to use the workgroup database. That's important. And the username that would be read-only, and the password that you were setting while using the command line. So let me sign into it. And see there, we are connected to the backend of Tableau Server. And now we can do everything, and we can do way more with Tableau Online. Maybe a lot of stuff that we won't ever need, but we have the option. And because here you can see this is a lot of craziness that's overwhelming, where you can connect to, because everything is stored in a single table. So let me just pick maybe the most important tables, or the first approach that you might want to go. That would always be the historical tables. And the starting point is usually are the historical events. So let's just drag them here. Then let's build a quick relation with users and views. So that would be historical users and views. Then let's pick, we're talking about users. So it's the historical actor user ID and the ID here. Then let's just use another one like the views here, always misleading. It's not the ID, it's not the primary key, but it's the historical view ID. Here it's the primary key. And another thing that we need, I think let me just check the event types. Yes. So third relation, and this is what it's supposed to be. Yeah. So now we have a relation of the very basic things. What Tableau is providing on Tableau Online is nothing else than exactly the same, but just ready-made. And here now we can do whatever we want. Like let's see, I don't know, let's start with maybe types that we don't get everything. Oh, let's just, no, that didn't work. Yeah. So again, let's just check access view. Then we want to see the user who was doing this. Then we want to see, so with 3 different users that I was just creating 2 days ago. And what did they look at? Let's use this one. And we can see, okay, they were looking at global temperatures and so on. And let's check how many times. When it comes to historical views, let's just pick this one, like a count or something like this. And then we get the data. And again, here you can start build any dashboard, any worksheet, whatever you need with many options. And one thing that's important to know here, Tableau is providing a data dictionary. So I think I already have it open somewhere here in, not in preview, but in Safari. Where is it? Just here is a data dictionary, and this is really good. So it's explaining every entity, it's explaining every single attribute dimension, so what it is about. But again, it's pretty overwhelming, but you can do everything that you want to do. For example, here we have the historical events. It already tells you it's the heart of the cluster. And if you click on it, it's going to explain you every foreign key, if it's that it's or it explains you where the keys where it's related to, and also what the different columns mean. So it's very supportive. But we do not just have Tableau as provider, but we also always have our Tableau community. And what they're doing, or maybe let me show this to you via web browser, is you have the community Tableau Server Insights. So if you want to skip this part with this joining and relating and read all through the data dictionary, you can just download ready-made data sources. And let me just show you this one to you. Then this is going to be the last one. So you can download those workbooks, and let me just open the ready-made events. It's a file that you can download from Git. And need to edit the connection to localhost. And write the password. Waiting a second. Usually this part was faster, but anyway.
We could use the time, as there are questions in the chat, maybe you want to respond to. There is a question for you, Christian. Can we add date filters across sheets, which is dynamic? Daily it changes automatically to current date and select some hard code date as well. You can find the question in the Q&A as well.
Yeah, finally you can do everything that we can do with Tableau, so there are no limits. So the answer would be yes. If you're able to do something at another dashboard, then you can do everything like filtering for the whole data source, for selected sheets or whatever. So it's just, you know, what the back end of Tableau is nothing else that most of us are doing like on a daily basis, connecting to Postgres or Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL Server, or whatever. So finally, it's the same, and there are no limits when you access this data. The only limits that you're having when dealing with Tableau Online is that you just have ready-made data sources, and I think they will cover 99% of what you need. But as you've seen, the data source here on Tableau Server is way more complex. You can get way more information.
Okay, cool. And the other question is, are the TS event data source available by default? The answer would be yeah.
Tableau Online, yes. Tableau Server, no. But when you're downloading via Git, you can use this ready-made. I don't know why it's that slow. That's really strange. But anyway, but it's not the same. I don't know what's going on. But it's not the same TS events like Tableau Online is providing, because Tableau Online is just providing, I don't know, some fields, but you can see here someone of the community was very nice and building this relationship here, building a union so that you have way more options to deal with it. I hope this was answered. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe let's continue, and we can use the time afterwards for the other questions.
No, but I think that's from my side. That's it so far. I just wanted to give you the overview. Let me resume. Where is my preview? Yeah. So what we're having, just again, is that we're having the views count. That's easy. Everybody knows it. We have the site status. Most of you, I guess, know it. You can see action, recent action, what's going on currently, and then the difference between admin insights and Tableau Server insights. So that would have been the main things that I wanted to cover. And let me just display again this. You can find all of these URLs and this stuff when you're Googling very fast. But you can also do a screenshot to get fast to these URLs. So that's it from my side. I'm still available, of course, for question if there is some. And if you have any further question also after this session or after this Tableau user group today, we're happy to support you or answer questions, of course. So that's it from my side.
Cool. Thank you, Christian. I see we have a few questions. I also put a link to the chat panel, which you can use as a starting point. It's called Tableau Blueprint Server Content Utilization. So then you have a quick overview of what Christian said. You can find the link in the chat. And there's a question for you, Christian, how to improve speed of Tableau when we're using joins or relationships, which is a good one.
Yeah, it's a very generic question. Let me say it like this. Usually the answer would always be the same: use extracts, get rid of everything that you don't need. It's always very attractive, especially as data analysts, to start with the whole package, with the whole thing, because we always have in our head, I might need this field, or I don't know if I'm going to need this field. But I would say do it the other way around, do an opt-in thing and not an opt-out thing. So start with the 5 dimensions, 2 measures where you know you need it. And if a question is coming up that you need another thing, then just add this one more field. But do not start with 200 fields. And you've seen this craziness of this many joins and everything. So that cannot be fast. And so the one thing is using extracts, getting rid of everything that you do not need. And the other thing is hardware resources. So it's about memory, it's about CPU. Try to get as much as you can. I know sometimes that can be costly, but it's worth, because if we're building a lot of cool things and they're not going to be used, then we're just wasting time and money.
Yeah. Okay, then we have another question. Can we add filter that automatically choose last available date of each month?
Yes, I'd say so, because we would just need something like aggregation of maximum date.
Yeah.
I think there's even an option in the newer versions of Tableau that you can check on that.
Last a ready-made filter, like this relative. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can definitely do this
calculation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be done quite easily. Yeah, I think that's it from the open questions. Yeah, maybe if there are some more questions coming up, just feel free to type them in the Q&A section or the chat panel. Yeah, maybe we do a brief round up with some tips and hints. Like now we heard a lot about engagement and how we can keep track on it. But now the question is how to improve it. And I would like to use the last minutes with a few tips and hints on how to increase the engagement. And maybe Tony and Christian, you have some tips on the way. I would say a few words on Tableau gives a bunch of options already to help us to involve team members and enable them to customize their dashboards. So we can, or I can really recommend to make use of this alerts function, notification, subscriptions. It is very easy to use, and let's say it makes the analytics come to you or to the team member. So it's just simply an easier access if you get the analytics to your inbox when they show relevant news. So I would say it's about timing, get the right information or provide the right information at the right time. Helps already. Yeah, Christian, what other options do we have to get more interactivity and increase engagement?
Yeah, one thing that I consider is very important, or something that you should use, are subscriptions. If you're getting your dashboard, your report, let's say every Monday morning or every day, whatever the frequency would be, then you're just one click away, to access, because you want to see, okay, the number is good or the number is bad, but you want to see what's behind it. And that's what I'm doing by myself, because it's not just telling others how to deal with it. It's also, doing it by yourself to learn what works and what doesn't. And for me, I'm getting every morning, I have a subscription. I get every morning the hours where we're measuring productivity within our company as a consulting company. And either the number is good, or if the number is not good, and I'm just clicking on it, and we have everything in it. How many open tiers do we have? What needs to get done? Which customers are underserved? Which customers, usually they're not overserved, but to deal with it, to have something to make decisions. So use Tableau for yourself, because then it's easier to provide an experience for the others. It's one thing that I would recommend. Another thing that's important is, somebody was just mentioning in the Q&A section, also alerts, of course, like if there are some thresholds, if you're below or above something, that you just know that you get this information actively, that it's coming to you. Because again, if you can choose, if you can decide whether you're going to log on to Tableau Server or not, most times you won't, because everybody is busy, everybody has so many things to do. And so let the data come to you. So that's crucial. I think that's important, and let the data come to your users. Another thing is also that I would recommend is to use shorter periods, for example, because if you're, for example, starting the fiscal year and our, target would be, let's say 1 million, it's very hard to manage today the next 365 days. That's not possible, or this will be frustrating. But if it's about the current week, like on Tuesday, where we were going to be on Friday, then it's something where you can turn data into action. That makes sense. And this is also kind of makes fun. This is something like gamification, like playing computer games, putting something here, then it turns out to be like this. So that's something that I would also highly recommend. And also always provides references and descriptions, because usually we're working on Tableau dashboards, maybe one day, maybe 1 week, maybe 1 month, so we know every single part of this one big number. And then the big number would be just as a placeholder 1 million. But what does it tell us? Is it a lot, or is it way too less? Do we have to act always at references? We as humans, we cannot think and deal with absolute numbers. I mean, within companies, maybe we know if it's good or not, but usually we always need references as a support for our brain to easier understand whether we should act or not. And last but not least, write back functionality is a great thing, because then you can interact with your dashboards. Then you can see, okay, this target is nice, but this target was true 2 months ago, but it isn't anymore. So let's modify our target, because otherwise you're comparing something every day that doesn't make sense anymore, like today. So that would be some recommendations from my side.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Christian. Tony?
Yeah, one more thing on the alerts. There's something we really used a lot at Amazon with the help desk, because if you have a root cause like a virus or an update for a specific software that isn't working, and all of a sudden you get 100 tickets within an hour or something like that, this is something you want to know about right away. So using the alerts on any measure on a dashboard that you create can then send you the email right away saying, look, this root cause, this type of failure has now happened 100 times within the last hour or day or something like that. And right away, people who need to know do know that there's some problem in the system, and they don't have to wait for the users to start bothering them. So using alerts to find out what's hurting, what your pain points are in real time is very effective.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Tony. So we have some more questions. There's one, Tony answered already, how to refresh the data extract. Do I have to connect again to the data source? Yeah, that can be scheduled to refresh. I guess the maximum is every 50 minutes, or I don't know how often can it get refreshed, Christian? Do you know?
Yeah, it's set to 50 minutes, but
Yeah.
the option to do is with Windows scheduler from outside, triggering with a tab command. So like, for example, every 5 minutes or every minute, you can do this, but not with within Tableau, but triggering the tab command, the schedule refresh.
Okay, thanks. Then there is another question. Is there any difference between putting all worksheets in one workbook to create each dashboard from each Tableau workbook separately?
Yeah, you can run into performance issues if you have too many sheets in a dashboard. I mean, up to 5, 6, 8, I've never seen any performance degradation. But I have heard people talk about, having 20 tabs in a dashboard and starting to have issues, because Tableau does have to execute all those queries behind the scenes to get the data populated. So always try to be as efficient with that as you can.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is it from the question sector. Maybe there is something else coming up. No.
There is.
We have another question in the chat.
Yeah, there's something. Maybe let me answer this. The question is, let me just repeat it. I don't know if someone have asked, but how to share the dashboard with stakeholders outside the company and still give them possibility to filter the same as they want. They need a Tableau user. So every user is a named user when it comes to Tableau, but you can also provide stakeholders outside the company a Tableau viewer, for example, and you can configure everything with credentials, permissions, what they're able to access and what they're not able to access. So you can deal with that, but you will have to give them a Tableau viewer, either Tableau Online or Tableau Server.
Yeah, thanks. I have another thing on the questions about the performance. I mean, as Tony mentioned, yeah, check your like columns. Maybe you can reduce the data sources. Another thing is you could go for a Tableau prep, for example, and you could exclude fields that are not used, because this is very often like too many fields not used, running very often into performance issues. So this might be another option to increase the performance. Yeah, that's it so far from my side. Are there any more things from you, Tony, or you, Christian?
All good on my side.
Yeah, I just said about Tableau Prep. It's a great tool. It's gotten so much more mature in the last year or two. I used to use Alteryx as a data prep tool, and at whatever it was, $5,000 per seat license at the time, wasn't really something that most people have access to. But Tableau Prep, I think, is included now. Is it included with the Explore license?
No,
Or the
partly.
developer? Partly. Yeah, creator. Okay, it's still minimal cost compared to something like Alteryx, and it will solve most people's issues.
Yeah, it's very useful. So I can just recommend to everyone to like try it out, play around, and see how it works, because it makes life way easier very often.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe we're going to do a session on Tableau Prep introduction next time. I think that would be a good idea.
That'd be really good.
Cool idea. Yeah. Yeah, then I would round up with another announcement, especially for Austrian participants, because on the 17th of March, we're going to have the virtual Tableau Day, where Austrian companies like Airport Vienna and some others are going to present use cases on how they use Tableau and how they like increase their performance with Tableau. And this is going to be very exciting. So I'll share the link in the chat panel where you can register. It's free of cost. And yeah, we would be happy to see you there. So I would say thanks for today. If there are no, maybe Christian, do you have a slide with our like email address or like if you want to share for a second? If there are some questions coming up, so feel free to get in touch with Tony for sure, Christian, me. This should be fine.
Just make a screenshot and get in touch. We're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, maybe Tony, you want to put your email in the chat panel as well. So thanks a lot for everyone for participating. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you. Yeah, here's like Tony put his email address in the chat panel as well.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot.
Thanks for joining, and see you next time in about 2 months. I guess we're going to host the next Tableau User Group Austria.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to be informed.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.